Welcome to another TC with Lily. I'm your host and resident care coordinator, Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily like the flower because we are learning and growing together. So, I have another live in store for you all. We're going to go over a few things. And if you are in the live, let me know where you're from, where you're checking in from. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. I will gladly answer them for you. But today we are going to talk about a few things. February update, business update, what I've been up to, what I'm working on, what I'm not working on. Let's see. Tyler Perry helps Atlanta low-income seniors keep their homes. Fascinating. Grant Cardone, he said some offensive things. We'll go over that later. And some key takeaways from that event. And solutions also, because I don't want to just talk about the negativity. I want to provide solutions and give you guys some other options. If you ever run into a case where someone you follow or possibly admire, I don't admire him personally, but I have watched his things, but I'm not going to get into that just yet. And at the very end, stay tuned to the end. I'm unboxing my merch. Yes, merch coming soon. I'm going to drop the link in the chat as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. So let's get into it. What has February looked like for me personally? Transaction Care. This is a platform that I've created, talking about all things business, real estate, empowerment. That is the goal, to empower anyone out there that is interested in real estate, working in real estate, or has been working in real estate and just looking to pivot or is in need of some inspiration. That is my goal with Transaction Care. TC with Lily is just my way of giving you more of a personal insight on my day-to-day life. It's probably just going to be it actually is just a segment on this platform. I don't consider myself just one thing. I don't consider myself just a transaction coordinator, just a host, just an educator. I think I'm many things, but I do enjoy discussing real estate, transaction coordination, business, and seeking inspiration in any way, shape, or form that I can, which is why I have this platform for anyone out there. So if you're watching, listening, wherever you're at, make sure you're following the movement, because my goal is to take this as far as it allows me. But a few things that I realized that I'm starting to, I guess you would say, redefine, reprogram in my brain is success doesn't look busy to me. Success is how we define it. I say this all the time. And I think just this week in particular, I really am starting to embrace my version of success just doesn't look that busy. And hard work is always going to exist, but I don't think it's going to require me to, my version of success isn't going to require me to be working around the clock, 365. One of my biggest inspirations is the Budgetnista, Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista. And she constantly talks about being in her Sade era right now, whereas before she was in her Beyonce era, meaning she worked around the clock, she gave it her all, she was still is, but at the time she was at the peak, at the top of her game. But all she was focused on was her business and her craft. She wasn't focused on other elements and areas of her life that needed her attention. And when I think about that, and now she says she's in her Sade era, meaning, majority of us know who Sade is, right? I'm a big fan, love her, seen her live in concert, but she's low key. She's a huge megastar, but we don't need to see her every day to appreciate her music. And it doesn't say one route is better than the other. It just goes to show that you can exist in both spaces and still have the same outcome, if that makes sense. Did Sade put in the hard work and the time and the effort and made sacrifices? Absolutely. But the quality of her work outlasted that performance, outlasted that day in and day out in the studio working, writing mentality. And I think that's more of what I need to focus on for my business. Me as a transaction coordinator, I still enjoy it, but I think I don't have as much passion for it as I used to. 5 years ago, Monday marks the 5th anniversary of my I didn't go live on Facebook. Let's try it. Monday marks the let's see if we could go live on Facebook. Hey Facebook, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook, trying something new. But anyway, I'm back. So my name is Lily. Let me introduce myself on Facebook. And this is Transaction Care, TC with Lily, day in the life of a real estate transaction coordinator, entrepreneur, host, educator, human being, all of that. Oh, my light is annoying. I need to fix this. But anyway, what I was talking about was the quality of life in business in general and how we can create businesses and scale them in a way that reflects not only the quality of our business, but the quality of our life. And transaction coordination to me right now there's been like, I have clients, they're great, and it's allowed me to make and sustain, financially. I make enough to support myself with bills, to keep food on the table. But every time I attempt to grow my business, there seems to be some resistance or there's just no response. And I know this time of the year, the last couple of years have been unprecedented with the real estate market, but I'm still not stopping. I would love to add either one more person on my roster or a smaller team of like 2 to 3 realtors to TC for, and I'm good there. But I really do want to focus on creating and building this platform, Transaction Care, as a hub for anyone in the real estate industry looking to build a business, whether you are on the realtor side, the TC side, lending escrow side, just the admin signage in general, sales side, or if you are a buyer and seller. You're a business person too. When you buy and sell real estate, that is a business. And it's important to have a safe space to go to where you can gain that information or have access to a person, me being that person, that is willing to answer your questions or learn with you or go seek the answers so we could share it not just with you one-on-one, but with multiple people that I'm pretty sure are asking a lot of the same questions. I'm about to embark on getting my real estate license in a completely different state. But this time my intention is not just to have the license. I got my license here in California strictly to catapult my TC business. It looks good on paper, but I'm just a licensed agent. I'm not a realtor. I don't pay dues to the National Association of Realtors or the California Association of Realtors. I am just licensed so I could run my business. Am I having a change of heart in terms of practicing as a realtor? Yeah, I am. I am. Am I venturing more into the sales aspect? 100%. But I think in any business you run, you're always going to be in sales, whether you're selling, chapstick all the way to someone's home. It's all involving the same skill set, the same courage and confidence to speak to people, to reach out to strangers and put yourself out there and make that sacrifice. But I definitely am looking to expand myself alongside my business here at home in California, as well as in other states. And for now, I'm going to start by going up north because I'm up there a lot in Oregon. That's one of my goals this year is to get my real estate license in Oregon and eventually invest up there, help people I know up there with their real estate, possibly expand my TC business, but I just want to be more knowledgeable of these two areas that I frequent a lot. And it's important for me to have that education and to, shake things up and start this whole process over with a different lens, with a different perspective, with more knowledge, with more experience, with more desire, because I don't think real estate's going to ever leave me. I think it's an industry that I have built a strong relationship with as well as a trust with. I know right now the market is in a weird, odd place that is driving a lot of people out of the industry, which is completely understandable. I get it. We need to make money. We need that steady stream of income. Um, we want to feel safe, but in all actuality, no one is ultimately safe. You have to make yourself feel safe and do things and surround yourself with people and places that will give you that safety and that comfort. Like, well, no matter what I do, I'm always going to be safe. I'm always going to be covered. And if that requires some sacrifice, some changes in your business plan, or maybe it's you getting a part-time job, or a full-time job and just taking a break on the business, all of that is fine. Just always follow what you want to do and why you want to do it, and allow that to drive you, and to just, keep your head focused on the plan. Planning has definitely been something that is not my strong suit, I will say. But us at the same time, I understand none of this is my plan. I'm doing my best to listen to what God and the universe has for me and taking it from there. And with all of that said, I'm still trying. I'm still doing my best. But I am exploring other streams of income, other ways of generating income, and just getting comfortable in those spaces when nothing is happening. Getting comfortable, or not, it's not even comfort, it's just getting familiar with those quiet moments, or those quiet times when you're starting a new project and it's going to take time, but if I'm serious about it, I have to commit. I have to commit. And in those times when it's quiet or slower, or, I start to doubt myself, that's when I, tap into my resources, tap into my tools, and all of the coaching I've been getting the last couple of years, and eventually therapy that I'm about to embark in as well. So all of that said, I'm reading my notes as well, so I just want to make sure I'm staying on task with this whole thing. But in terms of February as a month for my business, um, January and February were probably the lowest in terms of closings I've had in a long time. But I'm grateful to have had any closings. I'll tell you that much. I have a small roster that I'm holding on to right now. I haven't had a large roster in um, over in about 3 years. I let go of a lot of my teams. Some of my teams have let go of me. No hard feelings. That's just the way it went. And I wasn't in a mental headspace to hold on to that many people. And I knew deep down that I wanted something more for myself in terms of quality of life, the areas in media that I wanted to tap into, whether it's YouTube or podcasting, social media content, doing, speaking engagements, things like that. All of these things I'm tapping into and doing on a weekly, daily basis in order to get to the level I see myself achieving these things. But I knew if I was only focused on transaction coordination, which I was very successful in terms of, financial gain, was very successful at transaction coordination, and managing a high volume of work in the very first couple of years of my business. But I burnt out quickly. I burnt out super quickly. And I had originally quit my job to take care of my grandma because she was sick, and, she ended up passing away a year and a half after I quit my job, or about a year. And after she passed away, my whole life just shifted, and just my desire to be that immersed in one part of my career just didn't sit well with me. I was starting to just lose focus, and that's what brought me to here. Here we are, February 2023, and my transaction coordination business is steady. I'm grateful. Um, last year was probably the least I've made out of the 5 years I've been doing this solo. It's probably also the least I've made from transaction coordination alone. The least I've made, as a salary in a long time, maybe since I started my real estate career. Did I have money coming in from other areas of my business? And, I definitely got that student loan refund back. So that helped a lot. But in terms of TCing, like I said, I see myself working with, adding 1 to 3 more realtors on my roster, but I really want to focus on this media aspect and this educational portion of my business more so than I do on transaction coordination. I enjoy speaking at colleges. I'm actually speaking at a college this week, one of our local community colleges. This is my second time doing their career night, so I'm going to talk about business and things like that and help. I just enjoy helping the younger generation because I know at that age, I'm 38 now, but I know at that age, 20 years ago, it would have been cool to talk to someone that was doing things in the media space that I was interested in. At that time, I thought I was going to be working in the music industry. There's still time. I still could work in the music industry, but for now, I'm just focused on working on this real estate stuff. So, but I know if I want my year to look different from last year, I have to do things differently. And if that means going on live and, if I'm insecure in a certain area, then I'm going to work on that specifically. If it's, my public speaking, then I'm going to work on going on live more and talking to a camera, whether there's 100 people in the chat or one person. And if you are here, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Let me know where you're checking in from. I would love to talk. But I want to get into basically if I want my if I want my March moving forward to look different, I always want to, double my numbers, make this much money, do all this. But I usually just focus so much on the end result, I lose sight of what has to happen in between. And usually there's several steps in between, and I get overwhelmed to the point where I do nothing. And then the end of a month hits, and I'm just like, dang, where did the time go? I didn't do anything. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. So I've been working on just dividing my time into just smaller sprints versus focusing so much on like, okay, by the end of this year, in the next 5 years, it's like, well, what do I have the capacity to focus on? Do I have the capacity for, to be focused on 365 days from today? If I can barely focus on the next hour, like I just need to focus on this live. If I was to stop and do TC work right now, I wouldn't be able to focus on this live. And that's how I'm basically approaching the next season of my life is like, all right, I know what my long-term goals are. I know what my short-term goals are. And I do know what my short-term goals are. So if I know what I want to accomplish in this next year in terms of what I want to feel, what I want to do, where I want to go, who I want to be around and the people I surround myself with. So, okay, that's like a cool, like starting point. Now let me break all that down. Like, okay, well, if I wanted to take classes to get my license in a different state, when am I going to do that? If I just say, okay, I want to get my real estate license in a different state, but I don't pick the state, I don't say when I'm going to start. I'm the type of person like, I need to have a deadline. If I don't put a deadline, I'm just going to let it live on my to-do list and just be overcome by other tasks that I add to my to-do list. And that's how I tend to avoid things, and self-sabotage and all of that comes into play when I start to avoid doing things I know I need to be doing. And a part of that is just sticking to this plan of shorter sprints versus, trying to get to the end of the year all in one day. And that's the other thing is like instant gratification is something that I was very much addicted to, I would say, wanting to get things done sooner than like prematurely. And I had to just work out of that. I had to reprogram, sit through long hours of coaching and journaling and reading and researching and executing and taking action, and not avoiding. Like if I have an idea, is it something I can do today, or is it something I can schedule next week or tomorrow? And that's been working well for me. I read the 12-week year last year, and that completely just, it lit a fire in me that I needed. After I did the 12-week year, I implemented all the tools and the steps that the author recommended. I felt good, but I did notice patterns like around the 6-week mark, like the 3-week mark, the 6-week mark, and then the last 6 weeks. I went from, even in the book, he promoted that we should focus on one project at a time. But my ambitious self was like, okay, I'm going to do these 5 things in the next 12 weeks. And it's going to happen because I'm just going to be focused on those 5 things. And those 5 things weren't like small tasks. Like I was trying to start a podcast. I was trying to launch merch. I was trying to get my real estate license. Like I was trying to like 10x my subscribers here on YouTube. Double my TC business all in 12 weeks. So by week 3, I started to like knock things off of that list. Not because they were done. It was because I just was like, I don't have the time for this. I don't have the energy. I was starting to feel myself burn out by week 3. And then week 6 hit. That list was down to like 2 things. And I had to be real with myself, I had to be honest with myself and my time and my own expectations, because no one else was derailing my plans. I was, because I was trying to do too many things. Like, I'm not a spider. I don't have many arms or legs to just get to a bunch of things at once. And I only have one mind and one brain to function and do all these things. So around the 6-week mark, I started to realize, okay, well, the only way all of these things are going to get accomplished is if I really just focus on one of them for now and get comfortable with that process and get comfortable with failing in that process, getting comfortable and learning who I am in this process, and if it's something I actually want to do. And that is how my podcast was born. I just devoted 6 weeks up until December of last year, leading up to my podcast launch, Transaction Care Podcast. Go check it out. And it happened. And I'm so glad I focused on that one thing, because I don't think my podcast would. And I've been attempting so many times to launch that podcast over the years, but it was one of those things like, well, I have the idea. Shouldn't it be easy? And then I would go try, because I didn't really have a solid plan or foundation or why I wanted to do it. And I would just like let it fall to the wayside or start it and then never go back to finish it. Versus I spent the second half of that 12-week sprint only focused on my podcast. And it was born. And I'm on episode 10. I've already done a couple of interviews. I've done 5 interviews in total, all coming soon. Some are posted. Go check them out. You definitely want to be a part of this movement. But it was me focusing in on one thing and being comfortable with that. Because I get it. I think that's all a part of like scarcity mindset. Like, well, if I don't do it all at once, it's never going to happen. And it's like, where's the self, that's all self-doubt. That's all scarcity. That's all, that's that just like lack of mentality. And I had to get myself out of that and believe like, okay, if I just focus on this one, I can work on the other one next alongside this, because now I've gotten the bulk of these steps out of the way. So I'm glad I did that, because now I have a podcast, and I've been wanting to have a podcast for a long time, and just focusing my energy on having conversations and networking and meeting people in the industry and allowing them, to share their stories. And I love storytelling. I love allowing people that platform to talk about how they got to where they're at, because we need that transparency. We need that openness, especially in this real estate industry where there are a lot of gatekeepers. And I don't want to be any part of that gatekeeping. I say in my podcast, there are no gatekeepers here. I'm giving you the keys. Like I think I need to make a keychain next. Like, speaking of merch, stay tuned. But yeah, I think it's important to just, if you have a lot of things you want to accomplish in the next year, don't force trying to get it all done at once. unless you can afford to hire help or, outsource things. For me, I'm working on a solo budget, solo time. Right now, I don't have it in me financially to outsource or hire. So I also am the type of person that I like to learn how to do something before I outsource it. And I was actually just in a Zoom earlier talking about that. And the speaker was talking about how you won't know the difference between a good quality, say it's a website developer. You wouldn't know the difference between a good or bad website developer if you've never tried it yourself. So if it comes time to either give them a raise or fire them, you won't ultimately know because you've never been in that position. And there's so many free resources out there to learn how to build a website that I would be doing myself and my business a disservice if I didn't put in the effort to at least try on a very basic level. I don't know coding, I don't know any of that, but I've managed to align myself with the right resources to learn how to do things like build a website, start a podcast, launch a merch line, So at the very basic level, I have those skills. So when it comes time to either hiring or firing someone else to put into that position, I can weed out, the qualities that I need versus what they're either providing or not providing. And some people charge so much money and pay the money to people that aren't even doing quality work. So I'm not saying to burn yourself out and do everything yourself. I'm just saying to focus on one task at a time, learn as much about that craft as you can, and then once you hit that wall, now you can start to figure out, is it time to outsource? What area of this project am I willing to give to someone else? And at some point I will start to outsource the editing part. The editing takes the longest time. It's not that difficult. I edit myself, I produce, I write the outlines, the scripts, all of that. And I enjoy that. But the editing part is something that I could definitely, as I'm growing, will be outsourcing. So if you know an editor, a podcast editor, let me know. But going back to what success means to me, what I was talking about at the very beginning of this is that I don't want my success to look busy or to be hard or me having to sacrifice everything for this one thing. I think it's possible to get a lot done in a focused, committed time manner, and not be subscribed to that 9 to 5 model. I psych myself out at times thinking like, oh man, I have to work 9 to 5, even if I am working for myself. I have to work a 9 to 5 because that's when you're able to get the most work done. And it's like, is it? I can set time blocks. Absolutely. I could set time blocks. If I'm working on 3 projects that I want to accomplish that month, yeah, I could set time blocks for me to work a 9 to 5. Absolutely. But it's not going to require me to show up every single day because I'm in charge. I make my schedule. I know how long certain tasks are going to take, and I know I procrastinate a lot. I know I tend to lose focus easily. So I have to factor all of that into like, if I don't get everything done in a 9 to 5 space, it's okay for me to return to something at 7 p.m. because one, I don't have kids. I don't have other people relying on me. So I can take that break, as long as I meet anything that's urgent that day, if it's an email from a realtor or a request that I have from a realtor, for a transaction I'm working on or a deadline I know that's on my agenda that I have to accomplish, I will do that. And that's why it's important for me to add deadlines and, maybe some consequences. Like if I don't get this done, this will happen. Or, making bets with myself. Like, okay, if I don't get this done, I'm going to pay my best friend $100. And they don't have to know that. This is a kind of a cool exercise I did with my coach. I committed to something for, say, a week, 2 weeks, a month. And the consequence at the end was like, okay, well, I made the consequence. And if I didn't meet that deadline, this was the consequence. And oftentimes I would, revolve it around money. And it worked. it worked. I haven't lost a bet with myself yet. So give that a try. But I definitely want to get into let me see my notes. I have done yeah. I think what I made last year, without disclosing how much I made, but like I said, it was the lowest amount of money I've made TCing in years, if not a decade. But I'm still standing. Like it was enough to get by. It was enough to pay the bills, even the days where I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna get through." I got through. I have to believe and I trust money is always on the way. Money in, money in, money in, money in. I say it all day, every day. I believe it, I trust it, and I just surrender. And I just know money is always coming my way in abundance and in many forms. There are opportunities just out there for me to attract and to seek and to take action. Um, but I'm putting it out there. I would like to make what I made in a whole year in a month. How? We're going to work through that together, but I know it's possible. I just have to commit, and I am committed. I'm committing. I am committed. And I'm just going to keep trying, keep investing back into myself, back into the business. Quality of life is important for me. What is that? It's being able to spend time not just alone, but with family and friends, and nurturing those relationships, and meeting new people. All of that plays a factor in like how I want my life, to be and feel, and the direction I want it to go in. um Yeah, so before we get into this Tyler Perry and Grant Cardone conversation, I want to talk about just wrap up this whole idea of time management, and what success means to you. Let me know if you're watching this. What is success to you? Is it rooted in, your financial um, wins? Is it rooted in the quality of time you spend with family, with yourself? Is it rooted in just your mind, how you want your mind, to be thinking and feeling and all of this? Um, like I said, mine is the sum of all that, but I do enjoy my me time. I do. And the quickest way to burn out is to avoid anything that that brings you joy. So keep all of your joys and joyful things and people in mind as you're working, and always be taking care of yourself. That's priority. Self-care is priority. I cannot stress that enough. And what I do today, instead of just focusing on um, everything out of my control, I just focus on what I can control. Um, the long term is not in my control. I can have an idea. I can work towards things that could bring me closer to bringing those dreams to life, into fruition. And but focusing on how I feel is just a priority. And I know I'm not always going to feel happy. I'm not always going to feel joy. Um, so that's why it's important for me to surround myself with the people and the tools, and the coaching and the therapy, and the journaling and the reading and the books, to keep me in line, even on those days where I feel crappy, like knowing how to get myself out of those situations. But what I do know for sure is that what I do today will impact several tomorrows. What I do today will impact several tomorrows. And that's the best I can do. And that's the best I can do. And you. That's the best we can do, is just what I do today will impact several tomorrows. So if I just focus on today, I have my roadmap of things I would like and love to accomplish. But there are things in the past that I've loved and liked to accomplish, and it's taken me in several other directions. So I trust the process. I have a guideline that I'm following. I have God. I have my God line that I'm following. And I just know that, what I do today impacts several tomorrows. With that said, Tyler Perry, let's get into it. Let's talk about Tyler Perry. So Tyler Perry, the headline is, and this is via CBN.com. I think that's like a Atlanta-based news source. But anyway, let's talk about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry gives $2.75 million to help Atlanta's low-income seniors keep their homes. Let me put this link in the chat so you guys could read it. CBN, the Christian perspective. I just Googled Tyler Perry, and this is the first website that came up. I have no affiliation with them. I'm not associated with them religiously or anything. I'm a spiritual person, but I don't. Anyway, just read the article. It's a good article. So the few takeaways that I got from this is that, I think it's awesome when anyone, especially someone of his magnitude, gives back to those in absolute need, and speaking of several, what we do today impacts several tomorrows. The work that Tyler Perry has put in, whether you follow him, like him, hate him, can't stand him, enjoy him, the actions that he has taken to help the community have been very impactful, and the work he put in from day one is now allowing him to do things like this and help those that are in absolute need. Like let's see, Tyler Perry, these are a few takeaways I got from it, from the article. So Perry, ranked third amongst the world's highest paid entertainers by Forbes, is going to pay back the property taxes for 300 low-income seniors in Atlanta. I think that's amazing. I think, this is a grand way of giving back to the community. This is a major way that not many of us will ever be able to afford. And he doesn't have to do this. I'll tell you that much. People with a lot of money, whether they're celebrities or low key behind the scenes, executives, they don't have to give back. Everyone's moral compass or thought process around money and finances and doesn't have to involve helping anyone else. There are plenty of rich people that have never given to a charity or to their family members, and they're still up and kicking. You know what I mean? But his choice to give back in this way, in this very, in this dire need, this is an area where people are in a dire need of help financially. And one of the terms they used in the article was legacy resident retention, which is important. We talk a lot about generational wealth, and this is a part of it. Whether they own or rent, obviously these people own, because he's doing it to help them keep their homes and he's paying their property taxes. I don't think it's fair for someone to get to the, close to the end of their life just to be pushed out onto the streets because, the economy or their physical ailments, or the lack of resources didn't allow them to stay in their home. And now they have to spend the rest of their years either on the streets, in shelters, and people just will always be complaining that, oh, look at the homeless, or look at the houseless, look at, these people in, these homes, I'm paying for them to live here. Or my tax dollars are going to, keep these people on the streets for what? It's like, well, if maybe instead of complaining, maybe it's not 300 low income homes, but maybe it's one home that you and a group of people that are complaining about this issue go and help save. That's just a possible solution. I'm not saying everyone has to go in and pay people's property taxes. I just do believe that what he did is important. And I think it's one thing that doesn't need to be broadcasted, but the media is going to, use his name as leverage to gain traction on their websites no matter what. So if the word gets out, the word gets out. But I appreciate this effort. And it also says in the article that Perry will also cover any increases in taxes over the next 20 years for 100 low-income older residents. He has already donated $750,000 for the first year to cover back taxes and any increases in property taxes, and has pledged $500,000 each year over the next 4 years to ensure residents don't pay any more in such taxes. That's dope. Like, it wasn't just like a one-time check, like, "Oh, here you go. Here's a check. It's gonna be a tax write-off for me anyway, so just take this money and do whatever you want with it." Like, no, like, there's a solid plan in place with Tyler Perry and his team. And just know, whenever you see, like, a celebrity's name, associated with these grand things, like, just know there are many people involved. I'm pretty sure he talked to I know he talked to the mayor directly to get this done. And because of that, generational wealth will continue to live on in at least 300 residents, and that's beautiful. So I applaud Tyler Perry for this grand gesture of a move. He could have chosen to use that 2.75 to buy himself a home, to buy his kid a home, to buy stock for his children's children's children. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure they're all set. And now, the philanthropic aspect of Tyler Perry's business and brand and conglomerate is in a place where he can give back comfortably to not just one person, but to hundreds, thousands, for generations to come, decades to come. And that's a beautiful way of, in my opinion, of spending one's money, to give back, but to also just uplift an entire community. What he's done in Georgia alone, single-handedly, off of his imagination. And that's why if you are a creative, it's important. If you are a creative, it's important for you to always be expressing yourself and to not hold that part of you back. We all possess creative attributes to ourselves, but some more than others. And if you aren't allowing that part of you to blossom and to flourish, I think we're always just going to be miserable. And that's the same with myself. Going back to, not focusing so much on transaction coordination, but now I'm in a place where I want to give back and teach and educate and mentor, as well as create other platforms for myself to have conversations, to network. By doing so, I enjoy being on camera. I enjoy talking to a microphone. I enjoy that radio aspect of media. So I had to figure out a way, okay, well, how can I bring that to me and incorporate it with my business? And Tyler Perry's imagination just bought over 300 people generational wealth for decades to come. So that's what I mean by today's, what you do today will impact several tomorrows, because you really don't know the ripple effects that you have, and you may never know. I was in Vegas the other day. I'm in California. I'm in the Bay Area, but I was in Vegas last month, and someone that it was like a extended family member, right? Like an in-law to an in-law. And she was like, "Oh, it was one of your videos that got me motivated to do X, Y, and Z." And I was like, "What? How did you see my video?" And she goes, "Oh, my sister-in-law, your cousin, posted it and shared it, and I clicked on it and I watched." And it's like, whoa, like, you just don't understand the impact you can have when you put yourself out there. You know, it's never going to be easy the first time, but that's why repetition counts. Repetition is important to building that confidence. And I was pleasantly surprised at that, because it sparked something in me that I needed at that time, because I was not feeling inspired at all at the end or the beginning of this year. February really was my month to kick things off, and get focused and committed and not lose sight of the vision, because I was starting to just travel my life away, my savings away, my career, my business away. And I just devoted, I was like, the next 6 weeks is what I can, is the capacity I have to focus on. And I can only look at the next week or two ahead of me, and then just keep building off of that until we hit that 6-week mark, and then reevaluate and assess from there. And I did just that. I'm sacrificing a lot of things in order to get there. And it's not that I'm like letting go of certain things for forever. It's just temporary. Like, I'm not getting a haircut until I meet these certain milestones, or at least build the momentum to get to that place where I know it's going to happen. and I'm just being more patient, you know. I'm like, I put myself on a travel pause. Um, you know, no social. Well, I'm socializing, but I'm not having a drink when I'm out. I'm like focus zone sobriety. Like it's important, all of that, to just zone in on what is more important for me right now. Um, so shout out to Tyler Perry. Shout out to you if you are watching this. And then finally, well, not finally, because we got some things to do. Grant Cardone. Let's talk about what this guy did. So without getting into too much detail about Grant Cardone, and if you are tapped into the live right now, let me know, you know, who you are, where you're tapping in from, what city, state, and if you have any questions, let's talk real estate, business, life, fun, Beyonce concert tickets, all that good stuff. But Grant Cardone was in an interview. It's a clip that went viral. I didn't watch the interview. I didn't even know he did the interview. I am familiar with Grant Cardone. I know he has a chokehold amongst many people in the Black and brown communities. And he stated that very clearly in this interview and the clip that is surfacing around the internet right now. But basically, he said, to sum it up, you can just look up Grant Cardone. I don't know what else. What are the keywords you can look up? But it's there. It's circulating the internet right now. But he basically said that if a 50-year-old white person were to come up to him, they wouldn't really know who he is. But if a young, if a young African American male came up to him, they would know exactly who he was because that's his target audience. So at first I was like, before he got into his little racist rant that I don't think he realized was a racist rant, I was like, okay, target audience, I get it. As entrepreneurs, we want to have our avatars and, the certain demographic of people or persons that we want to reach. So relatable. I was like, okay, target audience. Yeah, I get that. And a lot of people of color are familiar with Grant Cardone. But then he went into this whole, because like he could have just stopped it because, that's our target audience, period. Like I think period, maybe even an exclam would have been good, but he still chose to continue to talk. And he said, because they are my target audience, because I use street terms. Street terms. I don't use big words to attract them, basically. He was saying that he essentially just dumbs down his content and his speech in order to attract this audience. Several things in this 60-second, maybe even less of a clip, spoke volumes to a community, a race, a marginalized group of people that are already having to work 10 times as hard to achieve a fraction of what he's achieved financially, in terms of even gaining attention, being able to have access into rooms that he has access to. So for him to say he's dumbed down his content or how he talks to people to attract that certain audience using street terms, like what is a street term? Slang? Like, I don't get it. Explain, please. Expound upon said street terms that you are using, Grant Cardone. And I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff. I'm really not. I'm at a point in my career, in my life, where I'm just like, why would I not have an opinion about something that rubs me the wrong way? This is just adding fuel to my fire in terms of why I'm creating content and why I have my platforms, because we do need more representation. We need more people of color. We need more people to have platforms and be transparent and honest and have valuable, resources and opinions and content that can help the next generation, and not just be a culture vulture and come in and take our money and then never care about us after that. Like there's so many people out here with courses and with, workshops, and they claim they want to help. That's why I haven't put out a course or a workshop or anything like that. Like, the intention has to be right for me. The intention has to sit well in my spirits. So for now, I'm throwing out all this free content because that's what sits well in my heart. Doesn't mean I'm not ever going to sell things. No, but I'm just going to find ways that sit well with me morally and align with my values in ways that we can work together and collaborate, versus putting down an entire race and pandering to them for your own personal gain and your own personal fame and to make a buck. You know what I mean? That's not fair. Minimizing a whole culture and races intelligence, minimizing their intelligence just to make money is like the greediest of greediest things to have done. And taking advantage of people's disadvantages for your own advancement is just not respectable. It's not respectable at all. And like I said, he's racist and he's a culture vulture. So anyone watching my content that is a Grant Cardone fan, just be wary. I'm not saying you shouldn't watch his stuff. I mean, I truly do believe that there is value in everyone's content, whether it's something you look at and say, hey, I want to model my business like that, or I could take away this one thing out of the 100 things they mentioned, or this is how I don't want to run my business. Like, I think it's okay to watch and consume content, not all of it, but watch and consume your competition's content, those that you oppose, that those that you are against. Like, see what they're talking about and how they're presenting it. How are they getting people's attention? So maybe it's not the actual lessons or knowledge that they're sharing, but it's more so maybe the how they do it. Maybe they go live every single day at 3 p.m. The message that they're spewing, you don't agree with, but you see, okay, well, this works for them. They go live at 3 p.m. every day. Let me go live at 3 p.m. every day. I'm not going to spew any violence or hate or rhetoric that is going to, put shame upon a whole race. I'm not going to do that, but I will go live every day because they did that. And this tactic seems to work to build their audience and to, and then that can help you build your community, build your audience, strengthen your voice. So when you are in a room with, say, a Grant Cardone or anyone of that magnitude that is powerful because of their money, I get it too. At the end of the day, money talks. Money talks. I get it. It's many of ours end goal. It's how we survive. It's how we get through. Is it necessary? To a certain extent. Is money, is my makeup based off of money? No. Unless we're actually talking about makeup, then yeah, I need money to buy makeup. But what I'm talking about is that we have to continue to create platforms, content, resources, sharing each other's content and resources, collaborating, making content for us, by us. Shout out to Fubu, one of my favorite brands growing up. For us, by us. I respect them, I respect what they were doing. I saw the vision when it first came out before anyone even cared to rock what they were doing. I've always had that business mindset. And then when I see people doing things that will require more hands to lift them up, take my hands. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope and pray that we can all come together as well to have not just the conversations, but to provide valuable resources and platforms where we can share and help others and mentor people and have more options other than someone like, Grant Cardone. But I think that's all I wanted to say on that. I do have a solution to this whole situation, but I'll get into that in just a minute. But I just want to make sure I didn't skip over any of my notes. Yeah. Proof of concept. His proof of concept is that he's rich white man. But we all know statistics show it's much easier for a rich white male to get richer and to have those opportunities, which is just goes back to my whole point of we have to support each other, we have to uplift each other. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we continue to be consistent and persistent with our content, with our collaborations, being mindful of who we are speaking to, how we are speaking to them, how we are showing up in these rooms. You know, our names are being spoken. We just pray that it's in a good light. At least I do. So solutions, what can we do? And I'm going to work on this in like a separate post or several posts. Follow me on Instagram at Transaction Care, because I will post these in my stories as well. But overall, I want to put together, and I'm going to list a few of them here, but there are so many other people that we could follow. And I think that's where maybe, we go wrong. Someone like a Grant Cardone has an excellent marketing team. He has the money, he has the resources to have people clipping up things and for them to go viral, or for him to be on a show that has millions and millions and millions of viewers, for him to be able to speak about whatever he wants to, which is how a clip like that goes viral. And now it's impacting my own content. But there are so many different accounts and different people, on smaller platforms, larger platforms, that we could be following instead of him. They have courses, they have universities, they have groups, they have courses, mentoring, all of that. And I'm going to name a few here because I think it's important to say their names out loud so you can go follow them. Like I said, there are no gatekeepers here. I am giving you the keys. So look out for this as a separate video, but for today, go follow the following. Earn Your Leisure. Anyone they are affiliated with, they have their own network on YouTube, podcasts, all of that. Earn Your Leisure. Troy and Rashad are the founders, the owners, the creators of Earn Your Leisure, and they are doing amazing work for the community. The Budgetnista, Tiffany Aliche, aka The Budgetnista. She has an excellent book. Let me look it up right now. I can't believe I forgot the name of it. Get Good with Money. I just can't believe that slipped my mind. But The Budgetnista, I've been following her for over a decade. She has helped me financially in ways that she won't even know. And that's me without having to have joined her community and her school. She provides so many free resources. Her and her, she has a podcast called Brown Ambition. Her and her co-host Mandy Money is another one. Mandy Money is special. She specializes not just in finances and financial literacy and education, but in negotiations. Helping women of color be better negotiators. Whether you're negotiating a salary, a raise, a new job, all of it. Check them out. So we have Earn Your Leisure, The Budgetnista, Mandy Money, the Brown Ambition podcast, which is the Budgetnistas and Mandy's podcast. Myleik Teal, owner and creator of Curlbox, but she is a phenomenal entrepreneur. Her podcast, she is one of those podcasts I will go back and replay from the beginning, because there are so many gems in every episode. And she goes live every once in a while. She also has a subscriber group on Instagram that you guys should check out. But Myleik Teal drops so many gems every time she opens her mouth. Just her existence alone, I feel empowered. I look at her, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing enough. But I also should go take a nap. Like she doesn't promote like overworking herself or burning herself out. Like she understands that hustle and grind mode. Like she went through it. But now that, she's in a place where she's at now, she realizes like maybe she didn't have to go so hard. But just the way she articulates herself and conveys her messaging is so clear and concise. Go check her out. And if you want to talk about mortgages, MG, the mortgage guy, he's also a part of the Earn Your Leisure Network. Min Nguyen, his handle is What's a Mortgage. Both of them drop daily content. I like Min's content specifically because he gives very data-driven, data-based, detailed updates every day. So definitely check him out. Lillian, the money coach, Vivian, your rich BFF, both two financial educators on the internet that are giving you daily content that promote investing, that promote, making sure you're spending your money wisely, getting your money back accordingly. Just a lot of tips and hacks on how to invest and spend and receive money. Erin Chung, I just finished one of her live sessions. I bought her book. She's a real estate marketer. She's a great resource if you want to get in, need more help with your marketing in the real estate industry. And going back to investing, Ian Dunlap, the master investor, he is the person to go to for investing, in my opinion. There are several other options, but in my opinion, I'm locked in with Ian. Period. But those are just a few. Like I said, there's like a long list. Like there's a plethora. There's many options of people that can replace someone that is spewing racist jargon or ignorant statements. Like there's so many other people we could be following. You don't have to rely on that one person. One is too close to none. And what he's spewing is none of my concern. All right. So finally, merch. I think I'm going to start a new live and unbox my merch separately. Yeah, we're going to do that. So thank you for watching. If you got this far, it was an hour long of a live. We talked about a lot. We talked about business. February, I recapped my business from February, multiple streams of income, time management. We talked about Tyler Perry giving back to the community. We talked about Grant Cardone being a culture vulture. And I provided you with solutions and alternatives to others we could follow and learn from in this industry if you don't know where else to go. And if you choose to no longer follow someone like Grant Cardone, I gave you well over 10 resources and people that you can be following. So look out for all of this content on my social media. Go follow all those people I told you about: Earn Your Leisure, The Budgetnista, Mandy Money, Brown Ambition, Myleek Teal, MG the Mortgage Guy, Min Nguyen, Lillian the Money Coach, Vivian your rich BFF, Ian Dunlap, Erin Chung, just to name a few. Me, Lillian Hernandez, aka Lily, like the flower, your resident care coordinator, and this is Transaction Care, another TC with Lily live. I appreciate all those that were in the chat, that were in the live, that made time for me. I appreciate you because your time is worth it. I say that all the time. And it's important that we spend our time wisely, whether it's me live or later on, and you're watching the replay. You are very much appreciated. And I value every second that you share with me, whether it's reposting, watching, commenting, liking, all of that. I am so grateful. And we're just getting started, people. So join my community. Go to transactioncare.com to subscribe to my TC weekly newsletter. This week, I dropped one of my best newsletters to date, and it's only getting better. And we're only growing by, in numbers and just strengthening that bond together. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm about to do another live unboxing my merch. So come back and watch that. And follow me on social media. But until the next episode, next live, all of that, my name is Lily, your resident care coordinator. And this is another episode of TC with Lily, brought to you by Transaction Care. Go to transactioncare.com. I appreciate you. And care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Peace. All right. See you guys.